I guess you love movies. I do too. Hi guys, and welcome back to another classic movie review. And today we're going to be talking about one of the classics of the year 1939. A lot of people consider it one of the great years in movie history, especially in Hollywood history, with films like The Wizard of Oz and Stagecoach coming out in that same year. One of the other movies that swept the Oscars in 1939 was the classic movie Gone with the Wind. And this is the movie that I'm going to be talking about today. Now, Gone with the Wind stars Clark Gable, Vivian, Leigh, Olivia de Havilland, Leslie Howard, and many others, and is a huge 4-hour production centred around the life of the teenage, adolescent life and early adulthood of Scarlett O'Hara, a rich and spoiled brat, to be honest, and her misadventures and marriages throughout the American Civil War. What did I think of Gone with the Wind? Well, Gone with the Wind is considered a masterpiece, a classic by many, and also considered an overlong, repetitive bore by others. It definitely has its fans, and it definitely has its rather vocal people that don't like the film so much. And I'm somewhere in the middle, but more over to the positive side. I really overall enjoyed Gone with the Wind. I didn't watch Gone with the Wind all the way through, straight away. I didn't watch 4 hours, I didn't sit for 4 hours and watch Gone with the Wind. I watched 2 hours of Gone with the Wind, then the next night I watched the other 2 hours of Gone with the Wind. And if I was you, I would probably take this approach as well, because that's probably one of the main negatives of the film, but I'll get into that a little bit later on. The best things about this movie are by far two things. Firstly, the performances. Vivian Leigh gives an absolutely brilliant performance here. She is probably one of the most unlikable characters you will ever meet in your life. She is selfish, manipulative, she doesn't know what she wants, childish, naive, thinks the whole world centres around her. She's an awful person. Really, there's really very little redeeming about her, but Vivian Leigh plays her in a fantastic way, and I think she's great in all of the different emotional peaks and troughs throughout the film. And really, it's surprising how interesting a character is, considering how little she really changes throughout the movie. I also really liked Clark Gable in this movie. Quite unlucky not to win an Oscar for this, I would imagine. Really good, really entertaining and sarcastic and dry right at the beginning of the movie, and really he's the only one that really sees through Scarlett and, sort of can match up to her. He's not exactly particularly honourable himself, but he knows that, and he isn't trying to be anything else. He knows what he is, and he doesn't try and act like anything else, unlike Scarlett. And as his arc goes throughout the film, the performance by Clark Gable only gets better, and I really enjoy his performance as Rhett Butler in the movie. I thought Olivia de Havilland's good, and I really enjoyed another performance from one of the very loyal servants at Scarlett's house in Tampa. Her name's Mammy. I can't remember the name of the actress. I actually looked at it beforehand, but I've already forgotten because my memory is that good. But she's really good in the movie. She's really good as well, very funny, and also is good in the emotional moments. The other thing that I really think that Gone with the Wind has is it's beautiful visually. It has some of the great establishing and extreme long shots in this movie, some brilliant cinematography, and there's a possible series idea that I've been banding around, maybe doing a best shots list, a list of best shots, and doing a sort of long-running series on that. And if I do, look out for that. But Gone with the Wind almost certainly will have a few entries on that list because of its great cinematography. Now, on to my issues with Gone with the Wind. They really come with its repetitiveness. The idea that 30 minutes into the movie, you pretty much know what Scarlett's like. And by the end of the movie, you know what Scarlett's like. You really see very little of a change in her. The idea of the movie is, it feels like, yeah, we get it. By the end of the movie, you're almost satisfied and relieved of what happens, because Scarlett is such a frustrating character to watch, and you know exactly what she's like from the beginning to end, and you just wish that something would change, because it feels repetitive, the fact that she's always this selfish, horrible person, and you just, it sort of feels like the movie doesn't really go anywhere, that she's very static, and I understand that's what the movie almost wants, but it is quite frustrating to watch, because by the 4-hour mark, we're like, yeah, we know she's selfish, we got that half an hour into the movie, we've been watching the movie for another 3.5 hours, and nothing's really gone on, which brings me to the point, does the movie need to be 4 hours long? And I don't really think it does. I believe it could quite easily be 3.5, 3 hours, be just as good a movie. I also think that there's one thing that kind of annoys me, is the use of text to tell you historic events. I would like sort of small snapshots of the event visually, shows us what happens, kind of pulls us into the action for a little bit, and then takes us back out again, gives us a bit of a visual cue rather than have to actually read text, which feels like it feels a little bit forced because it's used quite a significant amount of times throughout the film. And I'm kind of mixed about the way the movie uses perspective, because it's obviously about Scarlett's perspective. We're kind of trapped in our own perspective. There's bigger things going on around the world, around America at this time, but we kind of, the world that we are in and the world that Scarlett inhabits throughout the film is all centered around her. And I understand that that is the feeling that the director and writers wanted to create, because Scarlett is that self-absorbed. But it does kind of, I think it does sort of stop the film from being a little bit more expansive in its sort of message, and you know, it could have been a little bit more epic considering its running time. However, overall, I really enjoyed Gone with the Wind. I can't call it a masterpiece. It's a very, very good movie that's slightly flawed, but its positives override its negatives quite significantly. The visuals, the acting, override the fact that the narrative is a little repetitive at times, and overall, I'm going to give Gone with the Wind 9 out of 10. So there you go, that's my classic movie review of Gone with the Wind. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, drop your comments down in the section below. What's your favourite movie of 1939? Mine is Stagecoach. Already done a review of that on my channel, so check it out if you haven't already. Gone with the Wind is good, as I said. What did you think about it? If you've seen it, again, drop your comments down in the section below. I'd love to see what you thought. And hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.